Okay, let's get it. It is LSU Daily. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Glad to have you aboard with us here. Man, do we have a lot to get to today. We will visit with the newest LSU transfer commitment, Gio Paez from Wisconsin. That's coming up here in just a few. How the LSU defense, how dramatically can the LSU defense improve year to year? Interesting take for Bill Connolly over at ESPN. We'll react to that. And there is a change coming to LSU's rotation as the Tigers head up to Fayetteville to take on number 1 Arkansas in a 3-game series starting tonight at Baum-Walker. But we'll begin with LSU Pro Day. It is Pro Day out at LSU, and I guess of note, there's really two things that most everyone, I would assume, was looking for. One was Jayden Daniels. So Jayden Daniels was set to throw. It was about a scripted 50-pass practice that he was going through, and by all accounts, Jayden Daniels had a really good day. Actually, as a matter of fact, as I look up at our monitor in studio, there's Louis Riddick from the LSU Indoor on ESPN right now, NFL Live, talking about Jayden Daniels' day. Of course, the Heisman Trophy winner, the most effective and efficient downfield passer in all of college football. And Jayden Daniels, after his workout, visited with the NFL Network and talked about what he wanted to show today in his pro day.
Consistency off platform within the pocket, that I'm able to get my feet underneath me. Still make the throws consistently, same spiral, same trajectory, the ball's not dying on me or stuff like that. So, that's the biggest thing I've been working on.
So, look, Jayden was awesome at that all year, and this was really his day to shine. Didn't throw at the Combine, as we all know. So, for Jayden Daniels to have the opportunity to go out there with every team present, we learned that Jayden Daniels did have dinner last night with a couple of teams in attendance, as did Malik Nabers. So you're starting to see where these guys are going to land. Now, as much as everybody wanted to see Jayden Daniels, and understandably, it was, in fact, Malik Nabers who stole the show. Malik Nabers ran a 4.35 at Pro Day. His vertical was 42 inches, and his broad jump was 10 feet 9 inches. As Field Yates said after the workout, Malik Nabers is the most explosive player in the 2024 NFL Draft. There is no doubt whatsoever that Malik Nabers has solidified himself as a top 10 pick in this year's and next month's NFL Draft. He was flying today with the 40. And I don't know why it's necessarily straight line speed in the 40 is something that NFL teams just salivate over, but they do, and Malik Nabers aced that test today. Look, by contrast, actually, can you pull that back up, Paulie? The funny part about the video, if you saw it, is after Malik finished his 40, that's Jayden Daniels, who ran about 40 yards and met Malik around the goal line and was chest bumping him. And I would love to see whatever camera crew it was that came with the boom mic and held it over and what exactly they were saying, how that all came about. But what a day for Malik Nabers and Jayden Daniels in particular. Omar Spates repped out 30 times at 225, had a really nice day as well. So pull for all these LSU guys who, by all accounts, had a good day with every team from the NFL present. Found out on Tuesday, LSU landed a commitment from grad transfer Gio Paez from Wisconsin, and Gio Paez good enough to join us on AFR. Man, thanks for the time. How are you?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So we saw you in the Wisconsin red and white in the bowl game, man. Like, you're playing in that game against LSU. What was it, the fight song? Was it the cheers, the colors, the beautiful women? Did you just look across the field and go, I want to play for them?
Right. At the time of the game, I probably wasn't thinking that. But, at this point, all those things you said are pretty head on.
My guy, are you wearing an Orlando Magic jersey?
This is my friend. I'm not a Magic fan. This is a homie.
All right. Okay. Who is it?
Jalen Suggs.
Okay. Because the Pels play the Magic on Wednesday down at the Smoothie King Center. I'm going to be there for that game. And I'm like, how does a guy who plays at Wisconsin end up a Magic fan? So who is your team? Do you have a team?
I'm a Lakers fan.
Oh, God.
Through thick and thin, since the very beginning, since the Rob Sacre days, all that.
So how does that happen?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, like 20 minutes north of L.A. Went to high school downtown L.A. I lived out there till I was 16.
You know what, Gio? I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
You're right. So you're riding with your hometown team, but imagine my dismay when I go into the Smoothie King Center when the Lakers are in town, there's a whole bunch of Laker, LeBron, and Anthony Davis jerseys. That's a problem for me. You know what I mean?
I'm already knowing.
See,
I get it.
You and I already have a kinship. I love that. Hey, let's talk about this process a little bit. So you played in the bowl game against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You go into the portal. When did LSU first make contact with you?
I forgot the exact date that I hit the transfer portal. It was a little different for grad transfers. There's not as many restrictions as to when you can hit it. I couldn't tell you the exact date off the top of my head, but the first day that I hit it, I got a call from Coach Bo, and that process kind of just started up.
So I'd love to know your interactions with Bo Davis already. I mean, he's obviously an LSU alum, and people here are pumped to have him back on the LSU sideline. What's your experience been like?
I just know he's that guy. His resume speaks for himself. The players he's developed, produced, the places he's been, the staff he's been a part of. I think there's just no question to his resume. I think me and him click. I know in this era of college football, there's a lot of BS and recruiting and stuff, and I talked to him, and I just say, give it to me straight, and I want to help the team, and let's just go from there. I don't need all the flashing lights. I didn't take a photo shoot. I'm not about all that. Let's play football.
I love it. So you asked him, give it to me straight. What did he tell you?
You know, there's just an opportunity for, nothing is guaranteed, but I think I have what it takes to play with anyone in the country. I think I've put that on film, and it's just an opportunity that I couldn't really resist.
Gio Paez is our guest, former Wisconsin Badger, committed to LSU, be part of the transfer class. You're also, I think you're going to be the last class that has the super senior year because of COVID. If I'm not mistaken, maybe there's one more that will still have that opportunity. Why did you make the decision to play a sixth year of college football?
When I look at the trend of just my overall college career in general, I think I've been on the uprise, and I think why not take one more shot at it and play in the best conference in college football?
Yeah.
I played against them in the bowl game, and, I know I could do this shit. Part of my language.
You're okay. So you have NFL aspirations after college?
Absolutely.
So do you think, and I'm peeling back the layer of the onion a little bit here, because I think it's interesting because of the decision guys have to make, right? Because a lot of times guys will say, let me get into the league as quickly as possible so I can start my clock ticking toward the second contract, which is kind of everybody's goal, right? If you spend a sixth year in college, you delay that another year. So did you consider that at all, like going into the draft instead of playing another year of college football?
It crossed my mind. I had conversations with some of my good friends. Two of my best friends just got drafted to the Steelers last year, Keanu Benton and Nick Herbig. And, I've talked to them about their process and things of that sort. And I don't know. I came into college at 17 years old.
Wow.
And I'm 22 right now. And I think there was a big step of maturity and getting adjusted to things. And I think I'm just in a perfect situation where I can get with Coach Bo and Coach Bake and just do these things that'll put me in a position to succeed.
Hey, I'm going to ask you about Blake Baker here in a second, but go back. So 17 when you went into college. We see that more and more now, where guys either reclassify or they're just young. Like did you reclassify, or were you just young in your grade?
I was just young in my grade. Okay. My birthday's in July.
So same, right? So I graduated high school at 17. So in hindsight, do you look back and think, man, what if I had done it differently? Like would you advise a young player at 17 to say, hey, don't rush it, don't reclassify, do that extra year before you go into college?
I think you can get right or get left. If you think you're ready for it, go for it. I don't ever look back and think I would have done it any differently. I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything is according to God's plan. That's my beliefs. And, I wouldn't change anything about my career at all.
Love it, man. Gio Paez visiting with us, LSU transfer commitment coming down from Wisconsin via the Los Angeles area. Hey, so a lot of people have asked this. You're listed at 6'3", 310, but you played defensive end. Are you gonna play inside at LSU? Are you gonna play tackle?
I'm inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has to be a thing whenever you were talking to Bo Davis, like you just realize like LSU is just the numbers just aren't there right now at tackle. So how much of that was the conversation, realizing, man, like you're going to see the field because they don't even have numbers right now at that spot?
Yeah, I'm not trying to bash anybody that's already there or anything of that sort. These are going to be my teammates at the end of the day. But I think overall, there's just an opportunity for me to go there. And I know some of the guys are older and they got some transition from O-line to D-line. So it's a conversation for sure. But it's been made clear to me that the opportunity is there.
You mentioned Blake Baker. I'm assuming you got to meet. By the way, did you come for a visit?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you came for a visit, what were your impressions of Blake Baker?
Just a cool, chill, calm, and collected coach. Holds himself like a younger coach for sure, and he knows what he's talking about. No, that's my guy.
He, he wears cleats at practice. Seriously, he's on the field in cleats.
Cool.
He did it his first stint at LSU here 3 years ago. And it became kind of a thing. And sure enough, out there in spring right now, guys out there running around in cleats. There's a kinship with the rest of the team. I got a couple more for you. Why? What other schools were interested? Ultimately, why'd you pick LSU?
So obviously, it's the SEC. LSU as a program in general was a great opportunity. I want to get away from the 3-down system that we were previously playing at Wisconsin. I think it kind of puts me more in of a position of matching steps, kind of takes away from my lateral quickness and my strengths in that area. So that the 4-down system was definitely appealing to me. I kind of just want to get off the leash and not necessarily hold as much blockers. Hold as much blocks for the people on my back end, but kind of just, it's my last year of college football, man. It's now or never. I got to go get it.
Ready to go stuff the stat sheet, man. Go be the playmaker instead of the space eater. I get it.
Right.
Sorry.
You said in terms of other schools, there's a list somewhere around here, but it was like Oklahoma, UNC, Indiana, Washington, Michigan State, Florida State. If they didn't have a 4-down system, I wasn't really paying it much attention, if I'm being completely honest.
Understood. So was this your first trip to Louisiana?
It was my first trip ever to Louisiana.
All right. Did you get to see the sights, eat the food, do the stuff? What were your impressions?
I've been all over the country, man, and then there wasn't quite a place like that. I grew up in L.A. I moved to Charlotte when I was 15, 16. That was a big change. And then I was up in Wisconsin for 4 or 5, and now I went to go see the swamp. I rock with y'all. It's good. I like it. I was over there. It was eating good. I know it's going to be a little hot, but it's for the best.
I'll put it to you this way, Gio. Whatever weight you put on eating the food here, the first time you put on 50 pounds of pads in fall camp, you can lose all that weight, brother. You can lose all that weight in a day.
I believe it, for sure.
Gio Paez. Hey, man, this was fun. I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes. Congrats on your decision. We wish you all the best. Look forward to seeing you when you get down here, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Our friend Bill Connolly, who is a self-described nerd. Seriously, look at his Twitter profile. He's a stat guy that was hired by ESPN to do creative content. Like he does the SP Plus rankings and all that stuff that we talk about a lot. Bill Connolly looked at a dozen teams in college football that could dramatically improve defensively from year to year. And no surprise, one of the teams he mentioned was LSU. And he pointed out a lot of the things, right? This was a team that was 52nd in defensive SP plus, 106th in defensive success rate allowed, 109th in points allowed per drive, basically illustrating how much was laid on the feet and the shoulders of Jayden Daniels last year because the defense was so bad. I mean, the number, and look, you can get all these analytical stuff. The number that stands out the most, like, you want to know what happened to LSU a year ago? Which, by the way, despite this, it's still stunning that they went 9-3, went to a bowl game, won and got to 10 wins. LSU, in their 3 losses, all the good teams, right? Florida State, Ole Miss, Bama. They lost to 3 good teams. In their losses, LSU allowed 47.3 points per game in their losses. Chew on that. The Louisiana State University Fighting Tiger football team allowed an average of 47.3 points per game in their losses. Half 100. So the thing that I've said when talking about this LSU defense all offseason, and we'll continue to say up until they tee it up and kick it off in Vegas coming up on Labor Day weekend, is I don't need you to be awesome defensively. I just need you to not be the worst ever. I don't think LSU's offense is going to be the best offense in college football again. Tough to replicate that. You had the Heisman winner and 2 first-round draft picks at receiver. You're not going to be the best offense in college football. Oh, they're going to be plenty good. They're going to score a lot of points. But the defense just can't be the worst ever. So it was interesting looking at what Bill Connelly spelled out here. And I was looking at teams that we've seen make a similar, I guess it's fair to say a similar jump, but a jump where you've gone from being a liability defensively to being pretty good or really good even. And Texas a year ago was one of those teams. So Texas in 2022 was 54th in the country in total defense, which isn't awful, right? But it's also not what you've seen from championship caliber defenses. And Texas year to year, look, they added some transfers. Jalen Catalon was one of them from Arkansas. They had Sweat, the big defensive lineman. Texas went all the way up to 35 nationally in defense, which is really good. But the biggest turnaround in the last 3 years, was led by the guy that is going to try to be the architect of this LSU defensive turnaround, and that's LSU defense coordinator Blake Baker. When Blake Baker got to Missouri the year before, so 2021, Missouri was 106th in the country in total defense. Remember that number, 106. Missouri was 106 nationally in total defense. His first year, they went from 106 to 33rd. Last year, they were 34th. So they maintained it. The success wasn't a one-off. But he went from 106 to 33 in a blink. And I'm here to tell you, same conference that LSU plays in, and Missouri doesn't have a roster that looks like LSU's. I'm not sitting here telling you Blake Baker is going to make LSU the best defense in college football, top 10, top 20. Can Blake Baker get LSU in the top 50? Can you go, by the number I told you, Mizzou was 106 in the country in total defense the year before Blake Baker got there. It went from 106 to 33. Last year, LSU was 108. LSU was 108th in the country in total defense a year ago. So basically what you're saying to Blake Baker is, hey, you went to Missouri. They were 106th in the country in total defense, and in 1 year, you brought them from 106 to 33. In the SEC with lesser talent than you're going to have at LSU. Come to Baton Rouge where you have talent and resources and all the things you need and take us from 108 to what's that ceiling? I don't know. Again, I'm not even saying I need him to be in the top 30 or top 33. I'm not even saying that. Can you get me top 50? Because Texas was a contender with the 54th best defense in the country. I just need you not to be awful. Can you go from 108 to 50th? Can you cut that number in half? Can you be 50% better? If so, then I think LSU can win every game on its schedule. I'm not telling you I'm predicting them to do that. I'm telling you, if so, they are capable of winning every game on their schedule. And the reality is, to get into the playoff, in a 12-team playoff, you don't need to win every game on your schedule. You need to win one more than you did last year. Because if you go 10-2 against this schedule, you're in the playoff. Now, are you playing a home game? Do you get a bye? All those things are up in the air based on how high you go in the pecking order of the playoff selection committee. Do you have to trap? Like, if you got to go play a first-round game on the road in Happy Valley in the snow, that sucks. That's a bad draw. If you get a first-round bye, or if Michigan is coming to Baton Rouge, dramatically different reality. So, and all you can get there with all that. But the reality is, you got to be one game better. And you were right there against Ole Miss. You had a 9-point lead at the end in the fourth quarter of that game. You had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, and you blew it. If you were one game better, you're in the playoff this year. Can Blake Baker get you there? That's the challenge. That's what they're right about there at ESPN. LSU and Arkansas have announced their pitching matchups for the weekend. Now, remember, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series with it being Easter weekend. So LSU, both teams are on 1 day shorter rest, but LSU has to travel. So Tigers played on Tuesday against Southeastern. They travel today, and then they'll play, obviously, tomorrow, Thursday, against Arkansas up there in Fayetteville. And no surprise that junior lefty Hagen Smith is going to pitch for Arkansas, and he's been awesome. He's got a 1.24 ERA. He struck out 62 batters in 29 innings pitched. Dude's averaging more than 2 strikeouts per inning. That's Skeens-ish. He's awesome. He's the best, in my opinion, the best pitcher in college baseball. And he's 4-0, and nobody's hit him, and it's going to be darn near impossible for LSU with a struggling offense to do that. And as a result, Jay Johnson is going to pitch backwards. Or he's going to pitch off, I should say. He's not going completely back. He's just pitching off. So Luke Holman, they're going to save him for Friday, and Gage Jump will go Saturday. The big question then is, well, who do you throw in game one? It would be hard to imagine that you go Thatcher Hurd after he pitched on Sunday, that you bring him back on Thursday. That just, I guess you could treat it like a bullpen day and let him give you something, but that's not likely to happen. Whatever they elect to do, effectively what Jay Johnson is doing is conceding game one. He's not going to say it that way. What he's going to say is he's doing what he feels is best to put his team in position to win the weekend. And not many teams are going to have success against Hagen Smith. And I wonder if this were a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, if he would be treating it differently. If he would leave Luke Holman on Friday. My suspicion is that he would. But Luke Holman against Mason Molina does give you the best chance to win a game this weekend. And so Arkansas is rotating things a bit as well with the short week. So Mason Molina is moving up a day, and Brady Tigert is staying on his day on Saturday. So you will see Jump Tigert, which would have been your Saturday matchup no matter what. It's just that's going to be game 3 this week instead of game 2. So Holman against Molina is effectively a 1 versus a 3, which is kind of what you're going to get in game 1 with Hagen Smith against whoever LSU decides to throw in whatever order on Thursday. I generally don't like pitching off. We saw at times teams do that against Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola was as close to a sure thing as you had. And you saw teams at times make that decision that they were going to hold their ace, their Friday guy, for game 2 to try to give themselves their best chance to win a game in the weekend. And the thought is, sure, you split the first 2, find a way to win game 3, you win the weekend. Look at what Florida just did. Florida just came to Baton Rouge. They got handcuffed by Luke Holman. LSU played a great, clean ball game, won it 6-1 convincingly on Friday, and they managed to scratch out game 2. LSU kind of let it get away, actually. And then we saw, game 3, the avalanche came, which can happen in baseball, especially at the end of a weekend. So I know that's how Jay Johnson's looking at it. He's thinking, what is my team's best opportunity to win this series? And it's this. The other part of it for me looks at it and goes, I just hate conceding a game. And maybe that's hard-headed and bullish and stupid, and you're not wrong to say that. But LSU is a really talented team, and I know the offense hasn't been great this year at times. But the other part of that is that Arkansas's offense is right smack dab in the bottom half of the SEC as well. So, if you were throwing Luke Holman against Arkansas, by the way, I'm looking at it right here. Arkansas right now, after this past weekend, is 13th in the league with a 279 batting average. So you're talking about an Arkansas. The interesting thing is that LSU and Arkansas coming into this year were thought to be mirror images. Teams that had depth and frontline starting pitching and good depth in their staff, but offense was a giant question. And they were going to have to lead with pitching and defense while the offense came along. Well, LSU's offense has actually outpaced Arkansas a little bit, but the thought being, what if Holman went and handcuffed Arkansas, which he's certainly capable of doing. Arkansas's offense has really struggled this year. And then you find a way to win game one. How much does that change things? Well, in essence here, what you're doing is saying, we're conceding game one. Maybe we get lucky and win a game we're not expecting to win, and then you got Holman in game two. But I just can't tell you that I love the approach. I understand it. I understand what Jay Johnson is doing. He's thinking, what's the best opportunity I have to go win the weekend? Well, you split the first two, and certainly having Holman go in game two does that. Tigert has not been great this year for Arkansas, and Gage Jump has pitched well it did this past weekend. So could you win games 2 and 3 with behind Holman and Jump? Sure. If you do that, you win the weekend on the road against Arkansas, the number one team in the country. So I understand it. I can't say I necessarily love it, but it is certainly a viable strategy. And the thing that we always talk about with baseball, at least from my opinion, is in baseball, I can live with the result if there is sound reasoning behind your strategy. If the reason why you made a decision to do a certain thing it makes sense, if there are and certainly if it's backed by not only sound logic reasoning, but in an era of heightened statistics and statistical analysis, if you can make an argument for why you did a certain thing and it just doesn't go your way, that's fine. I mean, look at what happened Saturday against Florida. That's the perfect example of how baseball is just different. Nate Ackenhausen throws a 57-foot breaking ball. He spikes a breaking ball, which was he perfectly executed the pitch. He got the swing and the miss for the strikeout. Milazzo drops to his knees, leans forward, gets the ball off his chest plate, takes the ball off his chest plate. It kicks to the right. If Alex Milazzo, who's your best defensive catcher, can find that ball and throw it to first, you win the series against Florida. It just didn't. It didn't work out. So sometimes baseballs, and maybe that could happen. But I understand what Jay Johnson's doing. I don't necessarily agree with it, but here's hoping. And here's hoping it works out. Even if you drop game one there to Hagen Smith, come back, win game two, and see if you can get game three behind Gage Jump on Saturday and win the weekend. Or maybe you do something that nobody's been able to do so far and go rough up Hagen Smith, get him out of the game, and try to win game one as well. Okay, that'll do it for us here on this Thursday edition of LSU Daily. If you're new, please subscribe up on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you covered here weekdays for LSU Daily.